In the early morning of the crowded city, there was a lady standing near the window of the room who was asking someone what they should do that day. In the same room, there was another lady lying on the bed who replied to the first lady, Miss Witch, that she wanted to eat clay dumplings with sauce. Miss Witch wondered what Teto was dreaming about. She stated to Teto that it was time to wake up, and in the very next moment, Teto abruptly woke up. Teto told Miss Witch that she had woken up and was wide awake. Miss Witch, surprised to see her being that instant, contemplated that Teto used to be a golem, so maybe she was forcibly awakened due to the whole obeying orders thing. Further on, she asked Teto to get dressed and then they would go have breakfast, and upon hearing about the food, Teto became too excited. It was told that Miss Witch was someone who reincarnated, and Teto used to be a golem. She supposed that she would start by gathering information about that world. There was further seen the time when Miss Witch was being reincarnated. There was a god of another world named Liliel who wanted to invite Miss Witch there, and all she needed to do was to live, since that alone would be a benefit for God's world. Miss Witch had died, and it could have been due to illness, an accident, overwork, or old age. She could not remember how she had died, or whether she had been a boy or a girl. The god of the world then blessed Miss Witch to enjoy their world to the fullest. Those were the long records of how Miss Witch reincarnated into a different world, wandered around wherever she wanted, eventually settled down, made her own place to belong, and what came after that, she was starting in the middle of nowhere. She arrived in another world. She was on level 1 with 50 HP and 200 MP. When she realized that she was a girl, she concluded that she was a girl in her previous life. She looked around and noticed that there did not seem to be any monsters around, so she decided to take inventory. She took the bag out, and the inside of that bag was way too big, so she wondered if it led to an alternative dimension or something. She was looking for bread, water, since it seemed to contain at least everything necessary for survival. All of a sudden, she got a skill that let her use magic. She remembered when the god of the world told her that all she needed to do was to live, as that alone would be a benefit for her world, and she asked her back as she was going to reincarnate. The god of the world then replied to her that she had prepared a selection of skills meant to help reincarnators to stay alive as long as possible. She also told her to feel free to choose whichever one she wanted from among them by assigning points to them. After thinking all of that, Miss Witch saw that as long as she remained within the points limit, she could choose whatever skills she wanted, whether it be owner of the holy sword or simply swordsmanship. In the end, she used all her skill points to choose creation magic, named Creation, which allowed her to create items, etc., in exchange for an equivalent amount of MP. And furthermore, by using the creation magic, she made the fireball staff, which was a consumable item that allowed the user to shoot fireballs without expending MP. A while after, she felt like she had used around 80% of her MP. She suddenly noticed a slime there, and she decided to try to defeat it, so for that, she used the fireball. Just then, she got to know that she had to chant the spell for the magic to activate. There was something she learned after a few days of using the fireball staff to level up. She then used the next hit forcefully. The fireball staff ran out of juice after just 3 uses, so she analyzed that it was more efficient to beat them to death with a used one. Creation magic sure was handy, but it was way more inefficient than she thought. Her level had gone up to 5, and she only used around half the MP she needed before to create the staff. She thought that she had been walking for 3 days then, and she still had not found a village. Thereafter, she decided to take a break. Miss Witch then thought that living in the wilderness was made quite easy, and it was all thanks to creation magic. She thankfully was able to make a tent and other modern things with it. Although creating things required quite a lot of MP, so she looked for ways other than leveling up to increase her maximum MP. She was then trying to make another thing, and she wondered if she would be able to make it or not. But when she used the creation magic, she successfully made voila, a mystic fruit. In a certain popular RPG, voila had the effect of increasing the maximum MP. Whenever Miss Witch was low on MP, she felt like she needed to throw up. To create a mystic fruit used up quite a lot of MP. She only made the one, and she had next to no MP left. She was having that mystic fruit with the hope that she would stop feeling sick once she ate it. Just after that, she fell down and realized that it did not help with MP recovery, but at least its peer-like refreshingness was nice. Afterwards, she thought that she could increase her maximum MP through ways other than leveling up, or she felt that she would probably get tired of them if she stuffed herself with them, so she decided that she would limit herself to 1 a day. She calculated that if she kept eating one a day for 60 years, it would increase her maximum MP by 21,900, and while she might become the strongest in the world if she spent her whole life eating them. She then took out mana potion from her bag, which helped in restoring around 10 MP. She decided to drink that mana potion she made for times like those to recover her MP. Since the goddess's vague request was just to live long, she was contemplating what she was supposed to do. 1 week later, Nis Witch was still in that same area where the slime was also seen, and she was trying to hit them. She had finally reached a level where physically hitting them was more efficient. Her level was then 10 with the skills MP Recovery and Creation Magic. Still having a child's body was really inconvenient, and she thought that she might be around 12, and at that rate, her arms and legs felt a bit short. But it was not like she would not grow. Besides that, it was the time to make some proper equipment, so what she needed was stronger gear. She further used the creation magic to create pitch black robes which were heat and cold resistant, and the beautifully polished oak staff which increased magic control and power, amongst other things. That was really Chunibyo. For Miss Witch, it was a bit embarrassing, but its abilities were quite good, and the oak staff should be sturdier than a fireball staff too. She then had a doubt as she cast magic other than creation magic, or did it work the same way as with creation magic? Further on, she used the fireball and she did it. It was going to take a lot to practice to actually use magic properly, although she knew that fire. The ball staff was handy, but still, she decided to make sure to practice normal magic as well, and having to rely on the fireball staff made her uneasy. She wondered if she could somehow get any of the other skills she could have chosen back when she reincarnated. She was surprised that she could create items that let them acquire skills. Further on, she used the creation magic to create the skill orb, and then she used it. She wondered if that would give her the fire magic skill. Creation magic was one hell of a broken skill, and she was so glad that she chose it. She was then ready to use it, and it worked successfully. The fireball staff always shot the same fireball, but she could probably customize the fireball she shot with her skill. Most likely the more MP she used, the more powerful it would be and the further it would go. She guessed it was then the time for the fireball staff to retire. Moreover, she walked to practice the magic, and she also realized that the Jodo skill would not be a bad idea either. After that, she shot fireballs at the landscape until sunset. A while after her walking, she could see some kind of forest there. Since she then had primal magic and could use fly, she was sure that flying through the air was really convenient. Primal magic was the 6-element magic skills of fire, water, earth, wind, light, and dark magic fused together to form that skill. She successfully acquired primal magic. She thought that she would probably be able to fly freely once the skill's level was a bit higher, and she could walk faster than that. She further decided to go on a trip to the forest, and she felt that making a temporary base would be a waste, so she guessed she would have to pack up shop for then. She went inside the tent, and she had been living pretty well for a place with no food or water. She probably would have died if she had not been able to make those packed lunches and drinks they sold at convenience stores. She packed all that, and then it was time to go to the forest. The forest was really far away, so she thought of setting up the camp there for that day and entering the forest the next day. She was just hoping that she did not meet any strong monsters there. Right after she stated that, she found a goblin. She thought about what she should do then, since she could not move carelessly there. After that, she came in front of that goblin and used the stone bullet and wind cutter to save herself. She felt nothing but disgusted. She realized that it was close, so she needed to be more careful as wild animals would eat it if she just left it be. She further decided to set up a barrier around her with primal magic, as it was rather careless of her to have gotten that close. Since she was a witch, not a warrior, ranged supporters like her did not usually move about on their own in games. Besides that, she definitely needed good vanguard creations. She made the strongest golem core that she could make with her current amount of MP. A golem's strength depended on their magic core and the materials used to make them, so she did not spare any effort with that. The feeling that came with being out of MP was back. That was why she decided that she would light the monster-deterring incense and go to sleep for that day. Thereafter, she went to sleep and thought that she would start putting MP into the golem core the next day. The day passed, and on the very next day when Miss Witch woke up, she tried to charge that golem. She wondered if she managed to fully charge it with that, but it did not look like the rain was going to stop any time soon. Until then, she did not know what she should do. Just then, she got to know what to do next, and she created the chocolate using her creation magic. As soon as she tasted it, she felt that even cheap chocolates tasted special and delicious in that world. She wondered what she should use for the golem's body, whether earth for an earth golem, stone for a stone golem, and iron for an iron golem. She knew that she could always remake it with different materials, so she decided that she would earth for them since it was freely available. But she suddenly noticed that it was raining, so she thought about the earth. After that, she went outside and saw that the ground was all muddy, but still, it was not as bad as she thought it would be. Furthermore, she sat to make the golem using the golem maker. In just a few months, the golem appeared, which was of the same height as Miss Witch. She was contemplating that it was also kind of chubby and weak-looking, but besides all that, she gave her the name Teto and greeted her. She held the hand of Teto and felt that it was just the right degrees of moistness. After that, she stated that she along with Teto would be exploring the forest and commanded Teto that she would be the vanguard. But first she needed to make Teto a proper weapon. That was why, using her creation magic, made a short sword, which was not very sharp, and gave it to Teto. As soon as Teto took that short sword, she started running, and Miss Witch felt that she was using it like a club, and then they were ready to go. Teto was going to hit the goblin, and Miss Witch was following her in a rush. When Teto attacked the goblin, Miss Witch immediately used her magic wind cutter. Afterwards, she also appreciated Teto for her good job. Teto then went to Goblin, and Miss Witch wondered what she was doing. Moreover, Teto bought something from the goblin for Miss Witch, and Miss Witch was amazed by what she was giving or what she found to her. Thereafter, she noticed that it was the goblin's magic stone, and then she told Teto whatever she wanted to do with it. Also, she cleared that it was even okay for her to eat that. Teto ate that stone, and Miss Witch further stated to her that she could create magic stones with creation magic, so if she wanted she could give her some. Teto abruptly spoke up the word goal, and Miss Witch remained astonished to know that she could speak. Miss Witch exclaimed excitedly that she had become able to speak, and for that, they both started celebrating. All of a sudden, in the middle of celebration, Miss Witch had tears in her eyes. She got emotional because it had been ages since she has had someone to talk to. While they both were having conversation, Miss Witch realized that since it was a lot of work to get the magic stone with a dull sword, that was why she decided to give a knife to Teto. Afterwards, she created the knife herself using creation magic. Teto grabbed the knife and put it instantly in her body. Miss Witch wondered for a moment to see that she put the whole thing inside her body. She then guessed that she made the right choice to make Teto out of clay. Since Teto was looking pretty dried up there, Miss Witch poured some water on her so that she did not dry out. She thought that having a clay body had its downsides as well. Moreover, she told Teto to charge her MP too. On the other side, Miss Witch was at level 20, and it was thanks to Teto having defeated so many monsters they had both become stronger. She wondered if they could try fighting stronger monsters then. They both then arrived in front of a cave to see which Miss Witch guessed that this had to be a dungeon. She further asked Teto her opinion of what they should do. Teto raised her hand, which indicated that she wanted to go in, so Miss Witch also agreed, and they both went ahead in the dungeon. As they entered, there were the goblins, and just with a single swing Teto smashed 3 of them down. Miss Witch exclaimed that Teto had defeated 3 at once, so she had become really strong. She thought that monsters dropping gear and magic stones really made that feel like a game to her. She suddenly noticed that Teto stepped on something, and in the very next moment she saw that some sharp object had penetrated Teto's head, to see which she remained stunned. She asked worriedly to Teto if she was okay. Teto was then being attacked, and Miss Witch was getting worried about her. She realized that the weapon that hit Teto straight in its body bothered her the most and asked her if she was okay or if she was hurt. All of a sudden, the poison gas splashed on Teto's face, but Miss Witch was still calm since Teto was not alive, so it would not work. The first level of the dungeon ended up being no match for Teto. They continued to conquer floor after floor and eventually arrived on what looked like the final level. Miss Witch stated to Teto that they had been through quite a lot till then, as Teto's core got cracked by an orc wizard on the 3rd floor. She stopped working due to that, and they got surrounded by enemies. Miss Witch used up a ton of MP desperately trying to hold all the orcs off, and she was quite shocked when she found out her maximum MP had exceeded while she was not paying attention. Her level was 23 as of then. She praised that she along with Teto really grew stronger, and Teto also looked happy there. They both were then on the 5th and final floor of the dungeon where no sunlight was seen. Miss Witch was ready to defeat the boss, and they had a plan to head back after that. When Miss Witch saw the boss being focused, she guessed that it was a golem just like Teto. Just then, the boss roared loud and Miss Witch gave Teto a call that she was on defense. Miss Witch knew that at her current level, her fireballs should be much more powerful than before. That was why she used the fireballs on the boss. but somehow the boss faced that attack and sent it back towards Miss Witch and Teto. Miss Witch was guiding Teto to pull back, and she alerted her that firstly they would have to make the boss unable to move. Thereafter, Miss Witch again used the fireball. As a result of the fireball, Miss Witch successfully stopped it from moving, but since it was a golem, it would just regenerate. She then asked Teto where was its core. As soon as Teto indicated its core, Miss Witch claimed that she would cut away everything else then, and for that, she used her skill of Wind Cutter. A few moments later, when Miss Witch was done with cutting, she commanded Teto that she could go in then. Teto followed her commands, and Miss Witch was contemplating to tell her that she was still using that dull sword even though they found way better weapons while clearing the dungeon. After that, she asked Teto if she had found the core. Teto showed her that she was still finding it, and when she got that, Miss Witch told her she could eat it if she wanted. Without wasting even a single minute, Teto put it in her mouth. Miss Witch then declared that the dungeon was cleared, but just then she noticed something, which was the dungeon core. Teto got excited to see that, and to see her excitement, Miss Witch asked if she wanted to eat it. She further stated that they would definitely stand out if they meet someone while carrying around a dungeon core, so Miss Witch decided it would be better for Tattoo to absorb it, and that was why she gave her permission to eat it. When Teto was going to grab that core, Miss Witch wondered if that would work, and she was astonished to see it because that was what she was expecting. She was shocked to discover that it was teleportation magic, and it was forcibly teleporting them. She was trying to stop herself, but they did not stop, and Miss Witch ended up in the forest where she was seen sleeping. Just when she woke up, she wondered to see if she was outside of the dungeon or if Teto carried her back out. She then came to understand that what happened to the dungeon after Teto ate the dungeon core. The dungeon's entrance was gone, so they disappeared when they cleared them. She wondered if Teto was keeping watch. It was the time to eat, and she was having the exclusive brand black tea with milk, which was created by the creation magic. She realized that she never really had a chance to sit back and relax after they entered the dungeon. Just while she was enjoying her tea, she noticed a rustle over at a distance. She noticed that something was coming that way, and there was a naked girl who instantly came up to Miss Witch. To that girl, Miss Witch remained astonished, she thought, if who she was, and if why she was naked. She stated to that girl that she was not wearing anything and asked who she was. The girl wondered if Miss Witch did not recognize her, and she was shocked that Miss Witch could not tell her who she was. Miss Witch was then contemplating that she had never even met anyone in that world before, but just then she noticed that dull sword with the girl which she gave to Teto, and she then asked if she was Teto. Teto excitedly replied positively. Teto exclaimed happily that she finally recognized her and hugged her tightly. Miss Witch felt awkward, reminding her again that she was not wearing anything, but she could still feel her softness. Using her creation magic, Miss Witch made some clothes for Teto, who surprisingly asked about them. Miss Witch explained that they were normal clothes and that she couldn't walk around naked. Teto wondered why she needed clothes, as it was fine until then. Miss Witch explained that a golem's amorphous form and a human-like body were different, so she needed to wear clothes. When Teto agreed to wear the clothes, Miss Witch wondered if that was her responding to an order, but she gave her the trousers to wear. Since it seemed that Teto did not know how to wear clothes and was wearing the trousers on her head, Miss Witch helped her. While helping Teto, Miss Witch noticed that she did not have hair, and not only that, she was pretty and had big breasts. It seemed that Miss Witch was jealous of Teto, and she tried to make her feel relaxed by saying that she was still growing. After seeing her weird behavior, Teto asked her if something was the matter or if her chest hurt. Miss Witch changed the topic, asking her how she looked like that. Teto disclosed that after eating Mr. Rock Golem's core, she ate the dungeon core, and there was a spirit inside the dungeon core, and then they were together, and then she was like that. Miss Witch questioned if together meant that she absorbed it, and it was then inside her, so she asked if her consciousness was that of a clay golem or the spirit. Teto replied that the spirit was inside the dungeon core, she sucked the NP out of it, and did not have a consciousness. Miss Witch wondered if the spirit's sense of self-breaking down had some kind of effect on the golem. Besides all this, Teto claimed that she was her, and Miss Witch agreed with her. After that, Miss Witch went to take out something from her bag because there was something she wanted to check, if that was okay with Teto. Miss Witch then used the monocle of appraisal, which was a handy item that allowed the user to see the target's status. When Miss Witch read her status, it showed her MP in the golem core and the skills of swordsmanship, shields, earth magic, super strength, MP recovery, and loyalty. She concluded that Teto still had a golem core, Furthermore, she told her that she had quite a few more skills than before and she was much stronger. Moreover, she asked if MP recovery came from the spirit. She noticed that her MP was recovering slowly but steadily. She then told Teto that she had turned into a new species, as the status stated that she was an Earthnoid. Teto exclaimed surprisingly to hear that, but Miss Witch was unaware she was getting all of this or not. Thereafter, Miss Witch appreciated Teto, stating that she had really worked hard in the dungeon, and then she decided to charge her MP. Teto became happy, and she stated that she just loved her MP, but Miss Witch did not know if she could like or dislike MP. While she was charging Teto's MP, it looked like Teto was enjoying it, and then she wondered if Teto did not really have much equipment. She further asked Teto where the sword and the shield she gave her were. Teto replied that she would see and then showed them, bursting out from her breasts, which made Miss Witch feel awkward. Teto took out the sword and claimed that she had them. Miss Witch could not say anything but only thanks for telling her. She further, while getting her own clothes, told Teto that they now knew that she could store things inside her body, but she requested her not to rip her clothes. Teto asked her if it was really okay for her to use her clothes. Meanwhile, Miss Witch was thinking that she gave it to her without thinking, and she just hoped they did not smell of sweat. Afterwards, she felt that she should check her status out too. When the status of Miss Witch appeared, it showed her level was 37, and she also noticed that she got cartography from the dungeon, sense danger from noticing enemies, and perception for noticing those traps. She also realized that the status revealed her name as Witch, and that was something she could see with that monocle, and she definitely did not want people to see that she was a reincarnator. That was why she alerted herself to be careful. Thereafter, she started thinking of what she should call herself. The day passed, and on the very next day, Teto was trying to find something sitting on the ground, and she told Miss Witch that she could feel signs of water that way. Miss Witch thanked her for telling her and stated that if it was a river, they could follow it downstream, and that should lead them to civilization, and also she told that she would leave any fight to her again if that was all right. Teto was okay with her decision and moved further. Just there, they noticed the orcs over there, and Miss Witch was astonished to know that they exist outside of the dungeon too. Just then, Teto claimed confidently to leave that to her. The orcs then also saw Teto and Miss Witch, and Teto pointed out that the orcs were glaring at her really unpleasantly. Miss Witch told her that she had seen those unpleasant eyes before, and she abruptly used her wind cutter skill and smashed them down. She asked the orcs if they could not look at her companion with such indecent looks in their eyes. She then commanded Teto to get their magic stones, and then they would be on their way. Teto did the same, and a while after, Miss Witch decided to take a break there. They were then going to have something to eat, so she asked why they didn't have curry that day. Teto became excited to hear that, and she briefed that the curry was the thing inside that bread. Miss Witch replied positively and asked if she really liked the curry buns. Teto, while showing how hungry she was to have it, claimed that it was tasty, so she really liked it. Miss Witch then told her to set up a barrier and then they would eat. A while after, the curry was ready. Teto was celebrating. She showed her happiness after seeing the curry with clumps of rice. The both of them then started to eat their meal. Miss Witch realized that meal times really felt so much better when she was not alone. She noticed that Teto's face had become more expressive then, and watching her was really enjoyable, and she suddenly thought if she ate a lot like her, then her flat breast should also become like hers. The meal was served, and they had taken their seats as well. They were then eating curry. Just then they saw people, and they were kids who were asking them to run away from there. Moreover, Miss Witch noticed that there was a group of orcs, and with a boss at that, and they also had one of those really bothersome orc wizards. She felt that they would have to take it out as soon as possible. She then gave a call to Teto to get up, and Teto got her command. On the other side, the kid wondered what Teto was doing. He also instructed her to run. Teto took a high jump to attack the orcs, and there Miss Witch told her to pull back. Since then, she used her skill of wind cutter. Within a few moments, that place was full of blood everywhere. Miss Witch was feeling that her appetite was going as there was a smell of blood, while those kids remained stunned to see how they defeated the orcs. Further on, Teto showed Miss Witch that she split that monster's head in two. Miss Witch praised her for that, and she gave her a compliment that she was even stronger then. Teto was feeling overwhelmed after getting praised by Miss Witch. Afterwards, Miss Witch asked Teto if she could go get the magic stones then, and Teto immediately ran to grab them. On the other hand, Miss Witch wondered who those people were, since they told them to run, so she concluded that they might be nice, but still she knew that even really kind people might react badly if they found out what she was. The kids then reassured Miss Witch that there was nothing to worry about, and they revealed that they were just running away from the monsters. One of them apologized to her for making her deal with orcs, but he was so grateful that they did save them. He introduced himself as Lyle, who was an adventurer. He further stated that Miss Witch was looking like a magician. He apologized for being as impertinent as to ask her to help them out even more, but he told that he really wanted to heal his brother, so he requested if she could use recovery magic or a potion on him. Moreover, he swore that they would pay her properly. He again requested her since she was the only one he could ask for help there. Miss Witch replied that she was able to use the recovery magic, but she made it clear that she had never actually done so. She asked for reassurance if he was okay, and Lyle replied positively to that. Miss Witch then thought about what she needed to use the healing magic and used the heal antidote. She further stated to Lyle that his brother had lost a lot of blood, so he should make sure he rests, and eating something would not be a bad idea either. She asked Lyle if he did not have any food on him. Lyle apologized but replied that they lost it all while running away. Miss Witch stood up and asked him to wait there for a moment. She went at a distance from them to use her creation magic because she felt that it was probably better if she did not let people see her using creation magic. That was why, after creating food from magic, she took it to them. She stated to Lyle that she would give them food and something to sleep on. Lyle wondered to see her kindness and thanked her for that. Thereafter, Miss Witch told Teto that she would leave the rest to her, and she went to sleep then. Teto was okay to take care of her responsibility. Meanwhile, Miss Witch felt that she was exhausted, but then she could finally sleep. She was thinking that it was her first time meeting other people, and they did not seem like bad people either, so she hoped that they would probably show her the way to the nearest town if she asked them. But by then, she was tired, and since Teto was keeping watch, she decided to think about things the next day. After that, Lyle's brother woke up and wondered where he was. Lyle relaxed to see that his brother John had woken up. John was surprised to see himself, as he was certain that the orcs had got him. The girl who was along with them told John that they asked a magician girl they ran into by coincidence to save him. John wondered to hear about the magician girl. Lyle then pointed out that the girl was in that tent over there. John got the girl wrong and thought Teto, who was guarding the tent, was the magician girl. Lyle then corrected him, explaining that there was an around 12-year-old girl resting in the tent, and the girl outside was her companion, so he told John not to forget to thank the two of them later. John asked surprisingly what such a little girl was doing around there. Lyle disclosed to John that the girl decimated those orcs and even healed him. He added that she had blankets and food too. John exclaimed shockingly that she was skilled enough to decimate a group of orcs, since it was hard to believe. Lyle guessed that she might be from the empire across the mountains. John then remembered the rumors about the succession there. He said that he heard the first and second prince's factions fight, and that the second prince won and purged all his opponents, so he guessed she might be some noble's daughter who fled from the conflict. The girl was also somewhat convinced with that, and then she stated about Miss Witch that her being in that forest would also make sense if she connected her with those rumors. Lyle further stated that they were really pitiful for having to ask someone with those circumstances for help. John then spoke of the fee for healing him and compensation for the food. But Lyle told him not to worry about it since he claimed that he would pay her. Besides all that, he reminded them that their current request was more important. There had been so many orc sightings that they issued a reconnaissance request, but to think there really was an orc settlement inside the forest. There were even orc knights, warriors, and wizards there. If they just left them alone, then the town would be in danger, so they had to get the information they gathered back to the town no matter what. The young misses were probably also heading towards the town, and they decided that they would go back to the town the next day together. On the very next day, Miss Witch woke up and she used the clean magic, which was a purification magic that removed any dirt from the target. She did not have a bath or a shower, but that was a pretty handy substitute. She then contemplated that those three were probably heading to the town, which was where she wanted to be already, and she also wanted to gather information about that world from them. She peeped out through her tent and thought if they were going back, then it would be safer if they went together, so their interests should align. She then came out of her tent, and everyone wished her good morning. Furthermore, she asked if they should have breakfast, and in a few moments she presented the food over there. She stated to three of them that helping them out once or twice more would not make much of a difference. Lyle wondered to see that, and he thanked her. He then asked her about the payment. She was contemplating that the thought that she would get a reward never even crossed her mind. She wondered how much healing was worth in that world, and how much would a proper meal in the middle of a forest be. She thought that the vending machines on the top of Mount Fuji charged 3 to 5 times the normal rate, so she asked them how much healing usually cost. Lyle replied to her that it was 1 silver at the least, and there was no upper limit to it. Moreover, he told that healing the wound his brother had would be over 10 silver. Miss Witch was then thinking that 10 silver for something like that was daylight robbery, so she decided that if she took 1 silver as the base value, then around 4 would be right. After calculating everything, she told Lyle that it was 4 silver for the healing and food combined. Lyle remained astonished to hear that, so Miss Witch relaxed him that it did not have to be right then, as she gave him the time that he could pay once they were in the town. But Lyle refused and stated that he would pay it right away. He took out his boots to see, which Miss Witch wondered why he was taking his boots off. Lyle then took the silver coin out of his boots, which was why he took them off. Miss Witch understood that they hid away money in their boots and armor in case of an emergency, and moreover, silver ions had antibacterial effects, so it also protected them from some types of infections. After that, Lyle again asked Miss Witch if she was sure that it was enough. She replied positively, and she then disinfected and sterilized them by using her clean magic. After that, she asked him if she could ask him something, and he told her to go ahead. She asked if they could reach a village or town if they followed the river downstream where she set up the tent. He told the town they live in was downstream, so he proposed if she was heading that way perhaps they could all go together. To hear that, Miss Witch contemplated that they did have an injured party member, so she was kind of expecting him to make that suggestion. Moreover, she felt that they were not bad people as far as she could tell, but still, she thought that she should not let her guard down. After a pause, she replied positively to Lyle to join them, and Tedo also claimed that she would go wherever Miss Witch would go. Thereafter, Miss Witch suggested that we set off after breakfast. A while after they were done with breakfast, Miss Witch stated that she wanted to set off as soon as possible, but she asked John if he was still suffering from blood loss. John apologized, but he asked if she could just wait a few minutes. Miss Witch then told him to wait there at some distance for a second, and she created the yogurt with her creation magic. She gave it to John and told him to eat it since it would not take effect as quickly as medicine. But it was better than nothing. John ate it, and it tasted sweet and sour at the same time. In all, it was pretty tasty. Teto also kept staring at his yogurt as it was looking tasty to her too. There Lyle asked Miss Witch what kind of medicine that was. Miss Witch corrected him that it was not a medicine, but it was a jam made from dried plums mixed with milk and some fermented foodstuffs. She stated that the dried plums were effective against anemia and blood loss, and the same should be the case for periods. The girl remained stunned to hear that it helped in the periods as well, so she immediately ran to John to snatch the bowl from him. But John denied it to her as Miss Witch gave that to him. Miss Witch then asked them to relax as she told them that she would make another bowl full. Thereafter, she made another bowl for Teto and that girl. Miss Witch on the other side was contemplating that the adventurer lifestyle seemed quite unhealthy and stressful. Lyle then showed that he could not thank her enough, but Miss Witch told him that there was nothing to worry about. She thought it was because sugar was such a high-class ingredient. After that, she asked him to pack up and set off. Also, she requested to lead the way. She was also thinking if a grown-up man following a kid's instructions was okay. After packing, they all moved from there towards the town. A while after, Lyle said that at their current pace, the town should come into sight in the afternoon, but the girl along with them stated that they were moving rather slowly, so they would probably arrive a bit later. To hear that, Miss Witch was thinking that John was not back to full strength yet, and her legs were still pretty short, so it seemed like they both would only get there around dusk. She was pretty tired but determined that she would have to make sure not to let her guard down. Just then, Tedo was walking in the way when she suddenly fell into the water. Miss Witch asked her worriedly if she was okay. She started crying and replied that she fell in the river. Miss Witch used her breeze magic, which dried the target by creating wind around them, so Tedo was dry then within seconds. Afterwards, Miss Witch requested Tedo to be more careful from then on. John further stated to Miss Witch that he realized they never really introduced themselves. They further introduced themselves. Firstly, Lyle introduced themselves that they were the adventurer party, the hawk that rides the wind, and he was Lyle, who was a C-rank adventurer and their party's vanguard. Further on, John introduced himself that he was Lyle's younger brother, John, who was also a C-rank, and he was a scout, so he did reconnaissance and trap disarming. After him, the girl introduced herself as Anna, who was a C-rank archer. Lyle disclosed that everyone in the town just called them the Windhawks. Teto then, being excited, introduced herself as she was Teto, and going with the flow she introduced Miss Witch with the tag Witch. Miss Witch immediately stopped her by saying that, but everyone heard of her, and they wondered to hear that. Miss Witch contemplated what she should do since she had not decided on a name yet, so she introduced herself with the name on time as Chais the Witch. They all were known to each other by their names, and Lyle greeted Chais and Teto once again. After that, Miss Witch was thinking that she just stated the name Chais on the spur of the moment. She realized that it did have a nice ring to it. Lyle further disclosed the truth that they were there due to a request to investigate an incident in the forest. Chais surprisingly asked what that was. Lyle replied that there had been a lot of orc sightings lately. They investigated it, and as it turned out there was an orc settlement deep in the forest, so they had got to hurry back to town and organize a subjugation force. Chais was getting that those orcs, the previous day, followed them from there. Lyle then continued that if it were not for the two of them, Chais and Teto, they probably would have died without being able to report back, so he thanked them again. Chais, without saying anything, she stated that it was good, and asked to get going ahead. Lyle felt it awkward, so he murmured if he stated something he should not have. John replied negatively to him, and then they moved forward. Teto further stated to choose that she also gets happy when they praise her. Chais was sure that there were plenty of bad people in that world too, and being wary of people she just met was not a bad thing either. But she felt that she was probably being overly cautious, and while being thanked felt kind of itchy, she could not help but think that fate works in mysterious ways. From what she's heard from Lyle, southeast to the plains she started in lies Guard, the country of Beastkin, and to the northwest lies the Mubet Empire. They were currently southwest of the plains, heading towards Daryl, a town on the border of the kingdom of Isha. Lyle also told her before that the plains were the Empire's borderlands, so they could easily turn into a war zone at any moment. Something else she found out was that if the timing of her reincarnation had been wrong, she might have started her Isekai in the middle of a battle. They somehow managed to arrive before they closed the gates. There was an adventurer crew for them, and Cheese asked Lyle if she and Teto should not join the crew for travelers. Lyle replied that they owed them for saving them, so he told her that he would talk to them to let them enter with them. Just then, there was a guy who noticed that Lyle, Anna, and John were back. He remained stunned to see that the three of them were worn out, so he asked what happened. He noticed that they did not have any of their baggage, and John's gear was beyond tattered, so he asked worriedly what happened. Lyle told him that they kind of screwed up, and while pointing to Chase and Teto, revealed that those two young ladies saved them. He asked if he thought that he could let them in with them. The guy was glad to see three of them were okay, and he surely stated that he could let Chais and Teto in if they paid the toll. Chais instantly paid for the toll, and the guy told her that she would not have to pay it again if she got a guild card. He gave her change, which was 8 large pieces of copper. Chais was surprised to hear about the large copper, so the guy asked if she had never seen one before. She told him that she was not from there, so she was unaware of that. The guy explained that 10 copper coins were 1 large copper, 10 of those were 1 silver, 10 of those were small gold, and 10 of those were a large gold. Moreover, he added that around there, 1 meal at a food cart or inn was around 5 copper, and she could get bread at the bakery for around 2 copper. Chais thanked him for telling her the details. She supposed a grasp on how much things cost was not a bad idea, even if only vaguely. Further on, they all went towards the guild, and Lyle told Chais and Teto that this was their home, the Adventurers Guild. As soon as they entered inside the guild, everyone wondered to see that Lyle's group, the Windhawks, were back. The people around the guild had a lot of questions to see Lyle's group, as if where was all their stuff. Their gear was all battered too, and John's clothes were torn. Everyone kept their eyes on them, but without paying attention to them, Lyle went straight forward to report the results of their request. There was a lady who welcomed Lyle back, and she asked what happened for him to end up in that state, since he did not look okay at all. Lyle replied to that lady that the stuff happened, and just then, she asked about Chais and Teto. Lyle told her that they both saved them while they were working on their request. The lady understood, and since the guild master issued the request, she asked the 3 of them to report to him. And she further asked Chais and Teto what they would like to do. Chais replied that they would like to join the guild, get guild IDs, and also told to sell some things she had on her. The lady requested her head over to the room over there in order to proceed with joining and selling the things. There, Lyle's group was also going to go report back. After that, Chais and Teto both went to the room told by that lady, but they were still waiting as nobody was coming. Chiz guessed that it made sense that they would prioritize adventurers who just finished an important request over prospective entrants. While she was thinking that, it was evening already, so she wanted to get a room in an inn and finally sleep in bed again. Teto hugged her tightly, and Teto's pleasant scene against Chiz's back was making her sleepy. In the very next moment, Teto noticed that Chose had fallen asleep, so she decided to protect her. The scene shifted to the place where Lyle's group went to report. The guild master there seemed surprised to hear about the existence of an orc king. Lyle disclosed to the guild master that the orcs found them while they were scouting the place, and John was injured during their escape. They were then saved by Chiz and Teto, and then they managed to make it back there. Also, he added that there were superior species in the settlement too, and the orcs there numbered at least 200. The guild master stated that compared to the past cases, he decided that he would put out a request for a main force of B ranks as well as C and D rank parties. He declared that the three of them, Lyle's group, would also be a part of that, but he told them to go rest until then and get their gear repaired. Besides, he asked who were exactly the girls who saved them, whom they mentioned, since according to their report, one's a magician who could heal with water magic and killed an orc wizard with wind magic, and the other was a swordsman who could cleave an orc warrior's head straight in two. He stated that judging from them going straight for the troublesome orc wizard during the fight, they were either quite knowledgeable or experienced. He claimed that they were equivalent to D or, depending on the circumstances, C ranks all on their own. They also possessed a magic bag, which was quite the rare item, so the guild master further added that they might need to keep them under surveillance for the time being. Lyle stated that Chiz, the magician, gave off the feeling of being a noble's daughter fleeing from the coup in the empire. But as for Teto, she was neither a knight nor a maid, so he added that she did not seem like the bad type. He put it in the more precise way that Chiz gave off a naive, sheltered, knows nothing of the wider world feeling. She was excellent at wielding magic, but did not even know what a large copper coin was. John further added that Chiz was a kind girl, like he was a complete stranger to her, and yet she still healed him and looked after him. He said that healing a wound like that usually cost more than 10 silver, and yet she only asked for 4 silver, including the food she gave them in the middle of the forest. Lyle claimed that they were good kids, despite having it hard themselves. The guild master clarified that even if they were former nobles fleeing the coup, they must still treat them as commoners. However, even if they were strong, they were still little girls. That was why he told Lyle to recommend them a safe inn to stay at. Lyle thanked the guild master, and the three of them were going back. Anna whispered about the guild master that he might look like that, but he was kind towards girls and kids. John also murmured that his face really was scary. The guild master was glaring at the three of them, and they immediately excused themselves then. In the other room where Chiz and Teto were waiting, Teto was trying to wake Chiz up, but Chiz wanted to sleep for 5 minutes more. Teto told her that she was troubling him, the guy who came to talk to them. Just then, the guy greeted them and stated that he heard they were there to register for the guild, but he asked Chiz if she was okay. Chiz was already sleepy, and she replied in her sleepy voice that it would be nice. Meanwhile, Teto was still trying to wake her up from behind. After that, the guy stated that he would give them a brief explanation about the guild. He started to put it plainly that the guild was a place where one could take all sorts of requests. Adventurers had ranks, with S being the highest and G the lowest. He said that one's rank could increase based on their strength and how many requests one had completed, which was something a lot of people work very hard for. And that might be obvious, but one was still not allowed to commit crimes like murder, assault, and battery, fraud, or blackmail. After explaining things, he asked Chiz before they register if she could use one guild's crime detection orb first. She detected it green to hear, which the guy stated that green means she was good to go. He then requested them to fill that form, which she gave. Chiz read the form, and she understood that they wanted them to fill out their names and the things they were good at. She contemplated that it was her first time seeing those letters, but she was somehow able to read and write. Just then, she glanced towards Teto and realized if she could write. But she realized that Teto could not write. That was why she told her that she would write everything down for her. She pondered that it seemed Teto managed to learn how to speak after absorbing the spirit's power, but not reading and writing. Then she came to think and asked the guy if there were any species that could not join the guild. He told the list that elves, dwarves, dragonkin, and beastkin all could join the guild. He added that while demons might join, it would be quite difficult since they were hostile towards them. Chiz wondered about the demons, so the guy disclosed that there were some that coexisted with humanity, but they were very few in number. He asked the reason behind her asking that much and further asked if Teto was a demon. Chase replied to him that she did not know, she just did not know much about species related to spirits, and then she thought if Earthnoid was a whole species and depending upon the circumstances, she felt that it might be better if Teto did not join. The guy further said that it was stated that mingling between spirits and humans, and between dragons and humans caused elves and dwarves, and dragonkin, respectively, to come into existence. He then added that as long as Teto was a species descended from a spirit, it was fine no matter what she was. He told that though there were countries and places where people believed humans were superior, he clarified to choose that if she wanted to hide the fact that Teto was not human then it would be fine. Chais replied to him that she would make sure to remember that. Thereafter, the guy gave them their guild cards and told them that their registration fee was 3 silver. Chase apologized, but she said that they only had enough money for one person at the moment. The guy then stated to her that he heard she had things to sell, so he asked her to just register for them, and they would deduct the fee later also. He added that if that was still not enough the guild could give a loan. When Cheese agreed with him, he told them that their registration would be complete once they put some magical power into their guild cards. Afterwards, Cheese noticed that the writing appeared on it. She thought that she would be in a pickle if they saw that she was a reincarnator, so she wondered what she should do. Just then, the guy told her that if she wished to hide a part of her status, she could just rub that part with her finger, while thinking how she wanted to hide it since people with all sorts of circumstances became adventurers. That was why privacy was very important. As soon as Chais got the solution, she rubbed the part she wanted to hide and it vanished. She then realized that they would have to hide Teto's information too, so she told her as well how to rub and hide it. And with that, the guy declared that they both had registered to the guild. He congratulated them since they were also adventurers then. There, Cheese felt that the Adventurers Guild was a surprisingly nice place. The guild master then stated that since Chais and Teto had finished signing up, he heard they had things to sell, so he asked to do that. Chais contemplated that she still had the treasures Teto, and she found while conquering the dungeon, and it would be nice if they could sell them for a nice amount. The guy then asked to see the things Cheese had. Chase took all the things in front of him. The guy was surprised to see that much since they had quite a lot to sell. Chais contemplated after hearing him that 2 girls in the possession of that much jewelry was bound to raise suspicion. The guy further asked if that was everything or if she had more. Teto replied to him that there was quite a lot, and that would take a bit, so she requested him to wait. Chais was thinking that the guy was not asking how they got them. Teto further concluded that she was finished after getting everything for sale. The guy asked them to confirm if everything was on the list or not. Chais thought that it stated based on the price of the metals, the item's practical design, and the size of any gemstones present, and the fact that the value of all the silver and gold present was around 5 and 20 to 30 silver coins respectively. After going through the list, Chais reconfirmed from the guide if he was sure that this was correct since it showed the total was 15 large gold coins. She calculated that 15 large gold coins were around 15 million, so it might be the dungeoning dream. So in that case, she asked the guy if she was to sell that magic bag she had, monocle of appraisal and staff that could shoot fireballs. She asked how much would they be worth. The guy remained astonished to hear that she wanted to see the magic tools. Cheese clarified to him that she was not going to sell them, she was just asking for their worth. The guy then replied that even if she was to sell them, he was in doubt if they would have the money to buy them. He further told that depending on their size and whether they paused time inside them, the price of magic bags started at 5 large gold coins and had no upper limit. Then, the price of monocle of appraisal could be anywhere between 5 and 50 small gold, based on how much they could appraise, and a used fireball staff was probably worth around 3 silver. After knowing that, Cheese started evaluating that more than 5 large gold for a magic bag that would be over 50 lakhs yen. A large truck was worth of tens of millions to might be 100 million, so she thought of it as equivalent to a truck, and the 5 to 50 small gold, or 5 lakhs to 50 lakhs yen, the monocle would get her was quite the sum too, and the at least 3 silver from the fireball staff means she would get at least 30,000 yen from that too. After evaluating all that, she concluded that magic tools were pretty expensive, and she would not have to worry about food if she just made some with creation magic and sold them. So she decided that she would sell the items the guy appraised for the given amount, and he told her that after deducting the 6 silver for both of their registrations, they would receive 14 large gold and 94 silver. He suddenly thought that walking around with the large gold in their pockets was quite dangerous, so he asked if he did not add it to their guild card, and they would be able to withdraw it from any guild building. Chase agreed with that, and she requested him to put the half gold on Teto's guild card and half on hers. But Teto grabbed Chase's clothes and she told her that she did not need it, so she would like for her to have all of it. Chase tried to make her understand that she also worked for it, so half should be hers, and if she ever saw something she wanted, she could save up and buy it. When Teto was going to argue over that too, Chose again put her another point by asking if she was saying that she did not want money to buy sweets whenever she wanted. After hearing that sweets proposal, Teto lost it there, and Chase understood that she could not make up her mind. Teto lost in the thoughts of sweetness, and Chase got her. Thereafter, Chase cleared it that she would be in charge of the living expenses, but they would split the reward equally. Even if anything that belonged to the golem belonged to their creator was the general attitude most people had, but Chase did not think of Teto as a tool or a servant. After a while, when the guy came back from transferring the gold coins to Teto's and Chase's guild cards, and that took longer than he thought it would, he then asked if they had found anywhere to stay yet. Chase replied negatively. She told that she was planning on looking for somewhere after they sold all that, since they did not have any money on them. Thereafter, the guy told them that his shift was about over, so he was going to show them a place he recommended. It would cost 1 silver a night. The food was delicious, and it was safe and reliable. He immediately went to get his things and requested Chise and Teto to wait at the entrance. He alerted them that it was dark outside, so told them to wait inside the building. Chise and Teto both wondered why he was in such a hurry, and Chase also stated that the guild was a really kind place. Teto then exclaimed excitedly that this would be her first time eating food not made by Chise. Chise agreed with her, and she was also looking forward to it. A while after, the guy took both of them to the inn he was talking about. He stated to someone that he was back and he had brought the customers to hear, which Chase understood that his family owned that inn. The guy's sister welcomed him back, and she also stated to another person that they had got customers. There was an old lady who dealt with them. She stated to that guy that it was rare for him to bring the customers with him. So he said that the guild master and Lyle's group asked him to do so. He further added that they told him to show those two to a safe place, since they were little girls and it could be dangerous out there. It seemed that Chase was unaware about the truth that Lyle and the other two arranged that for them, so she thought to pay thanks to them when they would meet them. Thereafter, the lady asked Chise and Teto if it would be. Chise replied that needed a room for 2 for 7 nights with meals. The lady gave them a notebook to write their names in the ledger, and she told the cost that it would be 14 silver. She also clarified that if they left before the week's up, she would give the equivalent amount of money back. The lady then asked them if they would like to eat right away. She replied that they would like to eat in their room, so she asked if she could bring the food over to them. The lady agreed to it and gave them their room key. After that, they both entered their room being excited since it was so bright and lightning. Chise noticed that there was a lantern, but it needed fuel. Teto further laid on the bed, which was so soft, and she asked if she was going to sleep there. Chise replied to her positively. She also thanked her for always keeping watch at night and also apologized for making her do it. But Teto clarified that she did not mind at all since she was happy that she could help her. She abruptly sat up and asked Chise if she needed to keep watch that night as well, but Chise refused her to do that. Teto then stated that she wanted to sleep together with her, and Chise allowed her to share the bed. Teto seemed super happy since she had wanted to do it for a while then. Just then, someone knocked on the door and there was a servant who had brought the dinner. The dinner was served and Chase and Teto also took their seats to have it. The meal was really tasty, and Chase realized that even though the break she made with her creation magic was definitely softer, she wondered why the food made by a human was so much more delicious and warming. Teto noticed she was lost, so she asked what was the matter. Chise replied that her mental age might be whatever it was before, but physically she was still just a 12-year-old child, and no matter how all right she told herself she was and how grown up she pretended to be, her heart still did get tired. After having dinner, they both went to sleep together. Chise was in a safe place and Teto was there, so she was relaxed that she would be all right, and with that, she believed that she would take a good rest for that day. The very next morning, Chase woke and she felt that this was the first time she slept soundly since reincarnating, while Teto was murmuring to eat more black soil in her dreams. Chise wondered what she was dreaming of. Besides that, she thought about what she should do that day as she did not want to wake Teto up. She further stood up from the bed and started staring out through the window, contemplating that she reincarnated into that world, and Teto was a golem only a few weeks old. They basically knew nothing about that world, and she supposed that she would have to collect information for the time being, and first of all, she thought that they would have to find out about the local culture and customs as well as how skills worked. When she was gazing outside, she noticed the people whose clothes looked middle-aged fantasy-esque. Just then, she heard Tedo asking for the red soil dumplings with sauce in her dream. Chai seriously did not get what Tedo was dreaming of, so she tried to wake her up, and only with a single command, Tedo immediately woke up, and she claimed that she was wide awake then. Chai was surprised that it was realized quickly, so Tedo said that if she told her to wake up, she would wake up, even if she was asleep. Chai wondered if it was because Tedo used to be a golem and thus got forcefully woken up by an order. Thereafter, she told her to get changed and they would go to have breakfast. After a few moments, they both got ready and came out of their room to have breakfast, where a lady wished them good morning and asked if they slept well. Chai replied positively and asked if they could have breakfast. The lady served their breakfast, bon appetit, and they both settled down there. Chai observed there that some people prayed before eating, and she supposed the local religion was a large part of culture there. She thought that there were a lot of adventurers the previous evening, but all she saw right then were locals and people who looked like merchants. She wondered what was going on, so she decided to ask something from the lady who served them breakfast. She asked if she knew why there were not many adventurers. The lady replied that the ones looking for requests had already eaten and left. Chai then further asked if there was some big request up for grabs or what. The lady replied that her brother told her when the clock strikes 6 was when the new requests were put out, so every morning it was one big squabble over who got the good ones. Chai then asked what time it was then. The lady said that the bee had run 8 times then, so it was almost time for 9. Chai understood that adventurers got up really early. The lady also told her what her brother told, that being an adventurer was a tough, low-paying job, but guild staff had to get ready to put out the requests, so they had to get up and get there even earlier. Chai wondered to hear that. She commented that adventurers and guild staff all seemed to have it hard. Moreover, she thanked the lady for telling her. The lady then passed the pleasant smile, and Chase requested her to tell if she ever found anything she might find interesting. They both were done with the dinner, and Chase thought that she was not used to tipping, but she realized that it might come in useful for collecting information in the future. Teto and Chais then go to the guild. When they were on the way, Teto asked Chais if what they were going to do that day, or she guessed if they were going to kill orcs again. Chais replied that they would do some reading at the guild and check out a few things also. She said that she had a bunch of things to look into that week. Chais still knew next to nothing about that world, but there was no need to rush as well. They then arrived at the guild, and the only requests that were left were to help people in town, collecting herbs, or killing orcs, or acquiring their meat respectively. Chais remembered that the lady at the inn told her the remaining ones were all low-paying. Chais further went to the receptionist to ask if the guild had any books about anything. The receptionist replied that anyone who wished to do so was free to browse the books in the information room on the first floor. She clarified that one was not allowed to take them with them, so she requested Chais to make copies for herself instead. After getting information, Chais took Teto to get some information from the books first, and the receptionist also told them to ask the clerk there for how to properly use the books. They both then went to the information room and started reading. After a long time, Chais checked the time, and it was 16 o'clock, so she felt time really flew by as they got there at 9. Teto got bored pretty quickly and left for the training grounds, and Chais wondered what she could do to make reading easier because that was pretty tiring. She then decided to give it a try, so she used speed reading and parallel thinking and picked a book which was about the origin of vampires. The book stated the origin of the demons known as vampires. Once upon a time, a magician reanimated his dead lover's body, and after a while, a kind of life began to inhabit the body, and the two's child became the first vampire. Chais felt that in some ways it was similar to Teto, like she made Teto with a golem core and earth as the material. So she wondered if that magician used his dead lover's body as the material and created a flesh golem, and like with Teto, it might have interested magic stones and might be even a spirit, thus creating the first vampire. Chais did have to replenish Teto's MP whenever she was running low, so she thought vampires might only suck blood to replenish their MP, and if demons were humanoid species with magic stones within them, then Teto was technically a golem demon. After that, Chais left the information room to look for Teto, as it seemed like she was at the training grounds, but she wondered what she was doing. When Chais saw Teto training, she saw that there were many people who had all been beaten up, and Teto was dancing there in celebration of her victory. There were more people who were watching Teto, and they were stunned to see if she was that strong since she looked normal at first glance, so they were surprised to see where she got that toughness and monstrous strength from. Chai somewhere got that it seemed like Teto was able to fight them without actually harming them, and that was a good thing as well. She then informed Teto that they were going then. Teto excitedly told her that she trained so much that day, and all she wanted to get praised by her so Chai's. Chai's further thanked the people out there for helping Teto out and used her heal and clean magic. The people were in shock to see the healing magic, and they noticed that all the dirt was gone too. And they both then left that place. It was day 3 of collecting the information, and Chase was writing the books about herbs, about relations between monsters, and even a list of skills. She used the information from the last one to make more skill orbs and strengthen herself. There were no books for magicians she got, but information on those magic crystals she could store NP and seemed useful. It was then day 5 of Chai's doing the same work, and she admitted that this was pretty boring, so she decided to summarize all that later. Just then, Teto asked her if she was going to study that as well. Chai's wondered what they should do that day. Teto made a sad face and said that she was not that good at studying, so she could not really help. Chai's did not like her to be sad, so she asked why they did not go shopping that day, and Teto became too excited to hear about it. She excitedly screamed that they were finally going shopping together, and Chase got that the idea cheered her up. They then went shopping, and after some time, Chase told them that they had gotten enough daily necessities for them, so Teto asked if they were finished already. Chais replied positively as they were done more or less, but she asked to take a look at some clothes. They went to the clothes shop to check it out. The shop had sorts of clothes there. Chase wondered if there was anything good. In the spur of the moment, she saw a dress which was really cute, and its quality was also the highest among all the clothes she had seen so far in that world. She doubted if she had the MP to make that with creation magic, but it was expensive as hell as it was worth 1 large gold. Just then, the shopkeeper came to Chais and asked if that dress caught her interest. Chais replied positively. Then, the shopkeeper told that this dress was made out of the silk of a magic silkworm by a master dressmaker with utmost care, and then a magician enchanted it with extra durability, crease and dirt prevention, and size adjustment, and also it was one of the kind, it was perfect for adventurers too. Chais further asked him why such a high-quality item was in such a normal shop. He replied that there was a reason for that, and there, Chais understood that it was clearly not made for commoners. The shopkeeper then explained that noble ladies did not want it because it was too short and showed too much leg, and it was too expensive for everyone else, and he bought it because it seemed like it could be used by adventurers. So Chais asked if he was trying to say that it was dead stock. He instantly folded his hands, and he tried to convince her to believe him that it was the real thing, and he requested her to help an old man by buying it. But Chais clarified that 1 large gold really was a bit too expensive for her, so she turned and wished him luck in trying to sell it. Just then from behind, Teto declared that she would buy it, and Chais remained shocked to hear that. Teto further revealed that it was a present for Chais. When Chais saw Teto that happy, it became impossible for her to say no to that smile. That was why she agreed, but with the condition that she would split the cost with her. After that, they bought the dress, and Chais stated to the shopkeeper that since they were buying something he had no chance of selling, so according to her, something extra should be in order, and he told her to lead it to him. Further on, they both left the shop and came back to the inn where Chais was looking at the dress, and she thought that it was cute, but her legs would be cold like that. That was why she created the lightings for the legs to see, which Teto asked her if that was shed skin of some kind of monster. Chais told her that it was something to put on her legs, otherwise they would freeze. Teto found it interesting, so she also asked to have some. Afterwards, Chais stated that she would make something that would suit her. Until then, she tried the dress with leggings, and Teto complimented as she looked really cute. She touched her and felt so good to touch too. Moreover, she thanked her for this. Chais was also glad that Teto was happy. On the very next day, Teto was going to the training ground, and she asked Chais if she was coming as well. Chais replied that she would just stay off to the side and meditate, so she told her to feel free to do what she normally does, and Teto then went to the ground. On the other hand, Chais thought that Teto seemed to have started learning how to deal with people using all sorts of weapons, and she realized that she also had to get stronger. She decided to try that physical strengthening she read about the previous day, and she used a plate to sit on so that she did not get dirt. She was giving the instructions to herself as firstly, she felt the magical power inside her, and she just noticed that her body was releasing MP. Also, she tried to remember correctly that they all continuously release a little NP that then disappeared. A magician meditated by trying to keep the mana they would normally release into the nature inside their body, thereby increasing their recovery. She realized that moving while keeping the MP from escaping was surprisingly tiring. Next was physical strengthening. It said that she should stop meditating and instead try to increase how much MP she released. As if she kept on doing that, she guessed that she would try it out on that stone, and the stone abruptly got cracked. She felt like she had got the hang of basic physical strengthening, and she could gather extra MP in specific places to increase the power there. Chais then read that if her arms would make her swing her weapon stronger, and if her legs would make her faster, and if she covered her whole body, then her physical and magical defense would rise. She then tried to focus the MP on her eye. She wondered what Teto was doing, and Teto appeared in front of her. There was a lot of MP, and Cheese could see how Teto was doing. But when Cheese analyzed Teto, she concluded that Teto was releasing that much MP, which meant that it really was necessary to replenish it every day. The adventurers had way less MP, but they used what meager amount they had to strengthen specific places and sometimes even their weapons whenever they needed to. Chais was really enjoying watching the magical back and forth. Besides that, she knew that how much MP one had did not decide everything, since physique and muscle strength also play a big role. She supposed the opposite was also true, and that if one had an overwhelming amount of MP, then one could overturn even large differences in physique. She wondered why she didn't try seeing just how much MP she could release at once. On the other side in the training ground, Teto had a horrible aura around her for a second, to see which the people who were in the ground remained stunned. They suddenly noticed Chais, and one of them stated that he felt an incredible magical power there for a second. There, Chase was thinking that it was as far as she could do, since physical strengthening seemed to have its limits too. The people over there were chattering that Cheese reminded them of the pressure high-level monsters emit, and it seemed to them like she was practicing magic. Just then, a guy came over there, and he asked about Teto. The people who were already there in the training were shocked as to why that guy, Zanz, was there. Zanz stated that he heard Teto had been training a lot, that was why he proposed to her to join their party. And his party members cleared it to the other people in the ground that they did not ask from them, as they were showing some excitement. After that, Teto asked Zanz if he was a new challenger who came at her one by one from wherever he wanted. Zanz then replied that she had the wrong idea, and he commented she really must have nothing but air for brains. Chais noticed what all was happening, so she came there and asked Zanz if what did he want from her friend. Zanz boldly clarified to Chais that they had business with the tan girl, that was Teto. But he then commented to choose that her face was not half bad either, and gave her the offer as well that he would let her join their party too. Chais annoyingly rejected her offer, by which it seemed like Zan's ego got hurt, so he stated to choose that he couldn't care less if she was a witch or not, and he added that she should listen to what they told her. He asked raggedly while taking his sword out if she really thought she could work as adventurers with just the two women, or asked if she was also daydreaming airheaded like her friend Teto. After hearing him, Cheese contemplated that he was unconsciously putting magical power into his voice to make them feel more pressured, and it would be effective against beginner adventurers. All of a sudden, Teto got triggered too much, as he stated rubbish about Chais, that she smashed Zanz down. She kicked him here and there and kept asking him angrily to take that back, otherwise she would never forget him. Chais then stopped Teto since they had fainted already, and she told her not to hit them if they could not fight back. Teto came to Chais and put her point that they called Chais an idiot, so she was boiled with anger. Chais was there trying to calm her down. She thought about what she should do since Teto only came into existence recently, so she was still mentally really young. A guy suddenly came after all that and informed Chais and Teto that he had called the guild master. So they all went to the guild master and told everything that happened over there. Chais was relaxed to hear that all the people were defending her and Teto, and the guild master also replied that Zanz was always like that, and there was also the question of whether they choose in Teto were more beneficial to the guild. He then stated to both of them that he was leaning towards thinking that this was wholly justified self-defense, but he still would like to hear an explanation from them too. They explained all the scenarios, and guild master understood that Zanz was unable to take no for an answer. That was why he pulled out his sword to threaten. Chais further confirmed it with the guild master that if he was sure it was okay to take their word for it, as they had not even completed any requests yet. The guild master told them not to worry about it, and he was amazed to hear that Teto beat Zanz in an instant. Thereafter, he stated to both of them that they had come a long way, passing through the forest, and also he understood that it was only natural they would take a bit of a break. Chais thanked him and told that she had been thinking it was about time for them to take requests, and in the middle of their conversation, she also noticed that the guild master's expression changed for a split second just then. He was impressed to see them, and he claimed that diligent adventurers were always welcome, but for then, he told them to leave as he took the responsibility to handle the rest. Chais then, before leaving the place, used her heal and clean magic. The guild master was still surprised if Chais and Tato even knew how strong they were. He thought that one went to the reference room to gather information, and the other one did mock fights in the training grounds so she would not get out of shape. Thanks for watching it, guys. Smash that subscribe button like it's your morning alarm clock.